That's no moon. It's a space station.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. A few quick announcements before we get started. Pre-sale tickets for our Hawaii retreat / conference in April of 2026 are available on our website at journeytotruth.online. There are only, I think, like 60 spots left. It's not going to be a very big event, so take advantage of that. April 20th through the 24th. We're very excited about it. And if you missed our conference in Grafton, you can purchase a replay for $50 at journeytotruth.online. .online that is on the website as well, and that link is below in the description. And today's guest is Tamra Oviatt. Did I say did I say
You
that right?
said it correct.
All right, cool.
Perfect.
Even though I just asked you, I already forgot. She is an energy healer, medical intuitive, grid worker, Galactic Channel, and a walk-in, among many other things. And she specializes in sacred activations. She's written many books as well. And there is some amazing things that she would like to cover today. And it's all in alignment with what we talk about on this channel. So we're very excited to have her with us today. So we're going to give her the opportunity to introduce herself just a little better and tell us, how she got into this and, the whole walk-in scenario. And I can't wait to hear that story. So welcome to the show.
God, if you want me to go over all that, it's going to take the whole hour.
Well, we don't. How about this? Just kind of like the elevator pitch, right? Just briefly.
Yeah, no, I'm
everybody know who
teasing
you
you.
are. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
The
just
bridge
quite
first.
a long story. But hi, I'm Tamra Oviatt, and I'm the founder of Sacred Activations, which is an incredible modality, which is programming in the human biocomputer. What I mean by that is these programs are intelligent, and once you receive them, the activations, they keep working with you. They continue working with you in rewriting your subconscious programs into happy, happy, joy, joy. So your life just automatically starts changing, and it's incredible. In 1999, kept hearing I was supposed to be a healer. I was supposed to be a healer. This isn't what I was supposed to be doing. I was very successful in my career, but it wasn't healing. I wasn't really into it. I didn't know anything about it. I never talked to a psychic or I kind of heard that we had um, spirit guides and stuff. So I kept hearing it, and I finally said, "Okay, show me what to do." And the journey started. And I met this incredible hypnotherapist that studied in India for 20 years. He was really, really cool. And he hypnotized me. And I went on this journey in the hypnosis that was just wild. Um, and then I did another session with him. This is going to be a couple of years later. I'm just going to jump through this really quick. And when I went into hypnosis, this bird showed up, and he said, "I'm a bird, but I'm not a bird at all." And he said, "Call me Charlie." And he was all colorful, and he wore sunglasses. He was really cool. So he took me up off the planet and set me on this cloud next to him and said, "Do you see that?" And I said, "Yes." And we were looking at the earth. And he says, "It's just a game. That's all it is. It's just a game, Tamara." And I've been unraveling that for the last, 25, 26 years. And it is just a game, and I become more and more and more into alignment of the game without being caught up in the play that's going on here in the matrix we live in. So, it's been quite a journey. And, so fast forward 2011, I had done a bunch of different trainings, and I just couldn't make any money out of them, and I left my another really good job I had and fell flat on my face. I could barely make money to feed my kids, that was it. And, and then I started talking to this guy in England, and in 2012, after about 6 months of talking, it was Skype at that time, remember that? Um, so I went over to England to meet him. I was broke. I had like $200 in my account, no credit cards. And I just went, "There's no way I'm marrying this guy. He had proposed and blah, 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 whatever." So I was walking one morning through this graveyard in England, And I was telling God, why am I here? Why am I here? And I was told to go to Rosslyn Chapel was my answer. So I went back to his house. I was talking to a friend of his that is aware of ley lines and sacred sites. He says, "Oh, Tamara, you got to go." So I booked a train and a B&B for the next day, and I went over to Scotland. I had one of my clients meet me at the church, and when I went in there, I was used to connecting and talking to God, and I'm just like, "Okay, God, I'm here. Here I am." And I heard to go into the Akashic Records, which was another one of my trainings. And so I went into the Akashic Records, and there was a being standing there. I'd never seen anybody in the Akashic Records before. And I said, "Who are you and what do you want?" And he says, "I'm Lord Metatron. I'm here to assist you." So I received these energy codes that came in like a vortex, and these golden seals that stacked up on each other. And our heads hurt, we were dizzy, and I heard ground and connecting to Mother Earth, did that. Drove away, and I heard, "You're now crystalline, give these to others." So I started calling my friends, and I said, "Guess what just happened? Do you want this?" So then I'd run the activation on them. And then I knew it wasn't time to leave England, so I moved to London with somebody else I knew, rented me a room, and I went to Stonehenge. I heard to go to Stonehenge, so I took a tour to Stonehenge, and when I sat there on the bench, I said, "Okay, I'm here." And Lord Metatron showed up, and this energy started coming in again, and it was swirling so much and so fast, I got really scared, and I said, "What are you doing? Trying to kill me?
Right.
Stop." This is what was going on, this argument that was going on, inside, and, so he said, "Let it continue," and so this was the beginning of sacred activations, and then I got another activation, and then I did this activation with a friend of mine. The guy that told me to go to Scotland, he says, "Yeah, go." And I said, "Okay, I got these 3 activations, and I got the Tree of Life by then." And all of these activations I'm talking about right now are all sacred geometry, and I didn't know what sacred geometry was. And so, I said, "Do you want them?" And he says, "Sure." So I ran the activations on her and tell me he's gonna be sensitive, and I'd say a word to him because I wasn't trusting information I was getting yet.
Sure.
And
Sure.
s and so, that night he took all of his artwork, he was an artist and a writer, all of his writings and his computer into the middle of his yard and did a bonfire and burnt
Wow.
everything to a crisp, broke up with his girlfriend of 9 years, and moved into a Buddhist colony.
Wow. Wow.
And I was freaked out. What did I do to this poor guy? I mean, I felt horrible about it. I didn't understand, and I thought I was responsible. So I talked to him 30 days later, and he said his life had never been better. And that his writings were good, his art was amazing, and he was absolutely loving his life and
Wow.
gave me a big thank you. So after I talked to him, I felt much better, but I still didn't understand what I was doing. And I was supposed to be in England for 3 weeks. I ended up staying for 8 months. And I kept getting all these different teachers coming to me and teaching me. And I went over to Italy and I was in this apartment overlooking the sea for about 3 months. And 2 of those months I was completely alone. And it was so magical. I kept going into meditation and all these different masters were showing up and giving me activation. And then this client of mine that I had a stroke. I told her to change her blood pressure medication. She didn't listen to me. I told her for like a year. And then she has a stroke. And it's like and then I was mad at her, It's like anyways, I don't want to call her names. Um,
Right.
so so she had a stroke. I said, "Go to the hospital." She didn't listen to me. She went to bed. In the morning, she woke up and called me. She had another stroke. So then she couldn't move her arm and or walk or anything. So I took her to the hospital. She had 2 strokes. And for about a year, I worked on her, trying to help her heal. She was on a walker. She couldn't brush her hair. She couldn't button her bra. I mean, she was a mess, and she had a handicapped daughter to take care of. So, after when I was in Italy, I had, I guess, 3 activations or 4 activations at that time. So I asked her, "Do you wanna do the activations?" And she said, "Yes." So I ran the first 3 activations on her, and, the next morning, she got 95% use back in her walking and her arm. She still had a little bit of limp is all you could tell with her. And then, a year later, she was ready because when you go through a major shift like that, sometimes it takes time to catch up. It's just too much, you gotta process that, right? So about a year later, I was able to do some more activations on her, and it all completely went away at that
Mm,
point.
yeah.
I had to people going in for surgeries for breast cancer, for uterus cancer, and they didn't have to do the surgeries, and I was just shocked.
Right.
Um,
Mhm.
really surprised, it always blew me away on what this did, and it's been
Yes.
quite the journey.
So okay, these activations that you do, it's like activating what dormant DNA, and or how does that actually work as a cellular activation?
Much more than that. Yeah, the sacred geometry activations, they're gonna clear and activate your chakras in your body, your 13 chakras. The sacred geometry of the flower of life is gonna repair that in your energy field. The 18 strands of DNA is also going to do a lot of DNA repair and opening. It's not gonna blow you open like it did my friend where he caused the bonfire, or maybe it might, who knows? I have some people that have really shocking things that happen, but most people just easily just start changing in their life, and their life gets better. So
Right.
it's really, up to you, not up to me.
So then,
Um, so yeah, so these are sacred geometry activations that line you up, and then we have a lot of the activations that are really deactivations. Fear of the future. Yeah, boundaries, not your doormat, having healthy boundaries where you could say no and take care of yourself. There's so many of them. There's over 1,000 activations, and a lot of them work in your subconscious programming because we come in with programming. We know that, and we know that 95% of our lives are ran by our subconscious mind, so I don't care how many times you wanna say you wanna do something, but yet you keep repeating this old pattern. That's a subconscious program. So when you erase that subconscious program and replace it with happy, happy, joy, joy, then the universe starts seeing the energy of happy, happy, joy, joy and brings you that. Whatever that is, you don't really have to label it in a new boat, a new house, a new girlfriend, whatever it is, because really, if you just replace it with happy, happy, joy, joy, whatever will bring you happiness and joy um, will start happening in your life. And it's
Mhm.
just absolutely incredible and life-changing, and I call it metaprogramming in the human biocomputer because it's intelligent programming. It's intelligent. It doesn't come from me, it doesn't come from all the masters and angels and ETs and everybody else that came in and taught me to help wake me up and activate me. It comes from source energy is where this comes from. And it
absolutely.
builds on it and builds on it, and it just keeps changing you. It's amazing. It's absolutely incredible, amazing. I couldn't have come up with this.
Yeah.
This isn't my creation.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing, absolutely beautiful and well said, and I resonate with all of that, actually. I feel that, there is something to deprogramming and getting out of those patterns, and that's something I'm going through in life. I mean, everybody's kinda going through it
Everybody
in a
is.
different way, right? But,
Yeah.
in particular for me, like, I'm going through a lot of changes, and it requires deprogramming, and it just couldn't be a more timely episode just for me to hear this stuff too, because we need those reminders as we're going through it so we don't get sucked back in, you know?
Yeah.
And, something that I'd like to cover is, you mentioned, this is a spiritual war, right? And
Yeah.
like and we're not going to win it by fighting the matrix because you're feeling
Yeah.
it, you're feeding it then, right? So like, what would you suggest? How does that look? Because people want to fight. Like, obviously you learn about this stuff and you get angry and you want to like fight for the truth, but you also want to be careful that you're not, feeding it. So what would you say to that?
Understood and used to be really, really sucked in. I
Right.
was running those programs. I was angry. I was mad. I want justice. I want this. I want that. I want to save this. I want to save. You know what I mean? I'm not going to label these things that I'm talking about, but you know what I'm talking about. And it was working on myself. to disconnect from the addiction of the drama, the addiction of the pain, the addiction of the sorrow, the addiction just to those programs because they're out there. And there's so many of them. It's not just politics, a spiritual war. There's also getting sucked into numerology or astrology or all these other things or aliens that take your mind out of your oneness in yourself here, because that's why you're here. So there's so many distraction programs, and absolutely we're in a spiritual war. And the only way out is in.
Yeah.
Let go of all those belief systems, let go of all the hate and the anger and the judgments, and just see love everywhere. And you don't even have to see it out there, just see it within you. Because when you can love yourself 51% of the day, that's huge, and then it grows to 60, 70, 80. Am I in 100% love? No. I got to tell this story. I don't know why, but I do. I was just in Mount Fuji. I went over to Japan to teach. I am, it's really cool. I got a couple books in Japanese and I have a lot of practitioners over there. But with the interpreter and the lovely, lovely lady that put it all together that works for this large company, we went up to Mount Fuji for 2 nights. And our hotel was out in the middle of the nowhere, and there was nothing around it, and we were on the 5th floor, and when we looked out our window, there was Mount Fuji. It was, like, right there. It wasn't up there, it wasn't far away, it was like there was a road in between, very hardly any traffic on it, but that was it, and then it was the land in Mount Fuji, and, we had a lot of plans the next day. So we go to dinner, we go to bed. The Ruri, the lady that put everything together, that manages me over there, um, she says I can't get out of bed. She says I got to go back to bed. She was feeling sick and just knocked out. And I told Sayaka, the interpreter, I said, "Look, I'm where I'm supposed to be. I'm not going anywhere." And I had this splitting headache. It was just, I felt like somebody hit me in the head with a hatchet. You know what I mean? I mean, it hurt. And so I went and climbed in bed and opened my curtains and just stared at Mount Fuji for about 6 hours. And I went in and they're bringing me and I'm going through the ninth dimension. And then I hear the 18th gate of creation. I went, "Ooh, okay." And then I heard, "You're not ready."
Hmm. Wow.
"You're not ready." And I
I
went, "What do you mean you're not
heard that.
ready? You still have these judgments about this, 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 and this. You need to have zero judgment about anything that's going on, anything and anyone, before you're allowed into this 18th dimension of creation for oneness for all, and to be one of the programmers of this. Because you can't go in there and have judgments. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
You've gotta have that oneness and that purity of that. I'm not there yet. I'm working on it, and I'm better. I'm a lot better, but I wasn't allowed in there. And I go through the firmament, I go through the dome, I go to other like, oneness, I go to other planets, I travel, no problem. Um, but there I was not allowed because I was not ready. So, it's a journey. I'm sure a couple of years ago, I wouldn't even been shown that
Right. Yeah.
because where I was. So now I'm getting close, and then they're giving me information I need to work on. I'm working on it.
Yeah, that's beautiful, actually, because I mean, it's a real story of what this work looks like, and I had something very similar. I had a being visit me that I had been trying to communicate with this inner Earth group and whatever. It's this whole story, but it came and told me the same thing. You're not. They said you're not ready.
Yeah,
Like you have work to do. This is like
yeah,
secondary to your mission, right? But
Yes.
I understand that feeling, but it's also like it's like the most beautiful lesson too, because it's humbling and it's like, okay, I understand, and you can go back to the drawing board and then attack it from there. But um, so let's talk about, okay, a site like Mount Fuji, there's sacred sites, and you talk about sacred activations, right? And activating these sites. So is it similar to like what you're doing with people, these activations, and it's just you apply it to a sacred site?
Well, I mean, we do that in some of the trainings. We astral travel to the different chakras and the gates, around the planet and connect into that energy. But really what I do, my biggest thing to do is, I mean, because I can go real woo-woo, I can go down that rabbit hole. I can teach you all kinds of stuff. But my mission and why I'm here and why I chose to do this is to help people live happy, happy, joy lives, whatever they're doing, whatever level they're at, because 80% of the world isn't ready. Well, they're not even ready for activations, but let alone, I mean, we're going down to 1% of the world of some of the stuff I could teach, and I do that, and I do have a very advanced trainings, but I start with the sacred activations that change the belief systems, change the subconscious belief systems so
Mhm.
that, you can have a happy life instead of spinning out in different stuff, and in this matrix and in this world war we're in, it is for your consciousness. It is for your soul. It's to keep you stuck in the reincarnation line, which is the fourth dimension.
Right.
So, as a matter of fact, I'm teaching a class on that this weekend, but it's the fourth dimension of heaven and hell. They both exist. They're on the same area. You create what you want, and then you get reincarnated back here. So when you die, go beyond that, unless you wanna come back for another lesson. I've
Right.
gone and talked to people, and they said, "No, I needed to come back." And I say, "Okay, no judgment." I know
Right.
very few people that have just gone.
Right. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Aaron, did you have anything to
Yeah.
add to that?
Yeah, and it's kind of like the point of the major religions is to program people with as their whatever their version of heaven or hell is, and then
Mhm.
that's what they end up experiencing because that's the program they have installed in them, and they don't even realize it's a program. They just think that's the truth. And
Yeah.
it's where you go beyond just this program I've had installed in me, and you start waking up and realizing there's more than just this. This is just it's an experience, but like once you learn those lessons, whatever that experience within that, you don't need that anymore, right? And you
Yeah, a
have to keep
big
reincarnating. It's like a trap, like you said, but you have to
it
wake
is a
up and
trap.
realize that and then go beyond it.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. 2018, I was in Puerto Morelos, Mexico, and I was by myself, and I was told to go into 3-day silence, so I did. And Torth started coming to me, and he says, "I wanna take you into hell." And I said, "No." He came back, "I wanna take you into hell." "No." See, I still argue. It was
Right.
2018 I did. And then he came back again and said, "Look, if you're everything and nothing can harm you, what are you afraid of?" I went, "You're right." So I did a ceremony and connected, and Torth took me into hell. And I saw it was fourth dimensional. And then I saw heaven was right there with it. It was all on the same plane, happening at the same time, people acting out whatever they feel they should be acting out.
Right.
And and that it is the reincarnation line. It's to come back to Earth. You go there, yeah, sure, you can do school and you can learn things again, whatever you want, right? So, I mean, it was really interesting. And then after that, my energy shifted so much because I grew up in Christian church. I was programmed with hell and I never understood it. It's like, come on, this doesn't make sense to me. I'm going to dance and go to hell. I love to dance. That's ridiculous. So, and then when people do that and they go against the church, they feel guilty about it, right? They're going to do it anyways, but then they're going to feel guilty about it. So we have activations for that too.
Right.
So you can let all that stuff go, it's
Just for being
ridiculous. It's just programs.
right. Just for being born, you're already damned to hell unless you get saved or believe the right thing, or like
Yeah.
it makes zero sense. It's like you're guilty before you even have a chance to like. Right. It's like,
Yeah.
it's
so
so obviously a false narrative, but you got to wake up to that.
so would you
Yeah, it's one of those programs you got to let go of. I'm
Right.
sorry, go ahead,
no, it's
Tyler.
okay. Basically, okay, so like the fourth dimension, like people, like it's not like, would you say that's still part of the matrix then?
Yes.
Like the matrix goes
Yeah.
beyond this dimension.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, the 13 dimensions are all within the matrix, and
Interesting.
you can go beyond that. And that's exiting, that's going through the dome, that's out. And also the planets that you visit, the alien races and everybody that's here, they're all within the matrix too.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
not out of the matrix. They're also in this.
Right. So I feel that. And actually we interviewed somebody who's a channeler, Katie, in the chorus, and she was talking to these beings that she encountered, and she asked, they were saying something, and she said, "Oh, so you're still awakening too?" And they paused, and they were like, she could feel the offense, like they were almost offended that
Like
she
the
had that,
ego.
like their
Yeah.
ego. So
So they
then,
set an ego going, huh?
yeah, and this is supposed to be
Oh,
some higher dimensional being, right?
Yeah.
And like she was like, that's when she realized, like, oh, they're all part of it too. And the
Yeah.
reason we know that they're part of it is because they look like us and we have all the similar belief systems, right? And because we have similar belief systems, we're able to perceive each other. But then beyond that, like then you're talking about, I guess, beyond the 13th dimension, which is kind of like I don't know much about that, but it is interesting to me.
Yeah, yeah, and it is all part of that, and a lot of the very famous channelers are channeling groups within our matrix, and they're bringing in false information,
Right.
and I'm just listening to them, I'm like, "That's false."
Yeah.
That's and and then I was taught it's because 'cause they're channeling from these groups that are within the matrix, and they're gonna give them tons of truth. They're gonna hook you in, and then they're gonna fake you out. Now, I'm not saying this person is aware of that.
no.
They're just reliant on this channel
Right.
of information. So how much of it is true? How much isn't true? But
Right.
yeah, there's not a lot of I don't know any pure ones. I mean, we all have our stuff, right?
Right.
Mhm.
But I don't know any pure ones. I don't. And I would love to hear them,
I
and
mean,
connect with them.
Right.
is there such thing while we're here, and I feel like that's part of the experience to, like, everyone learns a lesson when they start channeling and communicating, and a lot of it is helpful information and people learn from it. But then at the
Absolutely.
same time, there's some layer of non-truth and that person has to go through. And by opening themselves up and trusting in something external and essentially giving their power away, it's all like a test at the same time. And it's like training. So maybe there is no right or wrong way. And maybe people signed up to be a channeler so they could learn that and have that lesson. And it's all a beautiful dance.
It,
Yeah.
it's it, and here we go with you're not ready for the 18th dimension. Because I'm still looking at people, wait a minute, oh, you're connected into this. There's some judgment there, right?
Yeah.
They help a lot of people awaken in a lot of good ways, but it does still frustrate me when they bring in wrong information that is controlling the masses. But here I am judging this, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a process. It's a process, and really, you are your true guru, and really connecting with yourself and not going outside of yourself. I have a dear friend of mine that's totally listening to psychics, and they keep giving him wrong information, and I keep my mouth shut. Honor him, allow him to go through I mean, I've said a couple things here and there, but I just leave him alone and let him do his illusion of something that's never gonna happen. And, and
Yeah.
it wouldn't be good if it's impossible for it to happen. But,
Yeah.
But we got to let people do their own thing. It's such a lesson.
Right.
Right. How I like to simplify it is any narrative or anyone that tries to tell you you need some kind of thing to save you that's outside of you is false. Full
False.
stop, period. And that's what, the true teachings of Jesus, Yeshua, is the kingdom of heaven is within you. He's saying it's within you, it's within you, it's within you. And then what happened? That's the control system, of course, inverts that into he's your savior outside of you, and you're going to go to this super horrible place if you don't. It's like this complete
And you're going to be picked up
inversion.
any moment.
Right, right. It's like,
Right.
no, he was saying the exact opposite of that. He's saying it's within you. You are it. You have to stop looking at all this external stuff, giving your power away to everything outside of you, thinking you're not good enough until this. You're not good enough until that. No, you're already good enough. You're already complete and whole and perfect. You have to just connect to that. That's within you.
Yeah.
Period.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that's really all you have to do. And don't go outside yourself for that. I mean, sure, take people's trainings and do my activations and other people's guided meditations or whatever. But
Mhm.
really, all the power is within you. I mean, there's a lot of things to assist you in that, but don't give your power away to anybody.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't do that because it's, you are the temple of God.
Right.
Right.
So if you had God standing here, how would you treat God? Would you treat God how you treat yourself?
Right.
Work on that.
Right. Right. That's a good. That's a good one. That's a good
Exactly.
one.
And, it's something that ironically came from Joe Rogan years ago, but he said, just walk around and treat everybody as if it's you in another body, right?
Yeah.
And that's like some of the best advice that stuck with me. And we forget sometimes because we get triggered, and that's all part of the journey. But it's still a good reminder. Like, how would I want to be treated in this situation, right? And sometimes whenever we do forget and slip up, then we're quickly reminded because karma is instant right now. Like, there's amazing lessons in life, and this is a beautiful conversation, and I really appreciate everything that you're bringing to the table because it's much needed right now, and I hope a lot of people take this very seriously because we always, we cover everything on this channel, that from the surface level stuff all the way to the deepest conversations like this, and it all plays a part because everybody's at their own level and awakening, right? So there's something in it for everybody, even us along the way, and like these
Of course.
constant reminders. So I feel like, there's this shift occurring into what people are calling 5D and this prosperous future. What does that look like for you? Do you think there's, is that actually occurring?
My thought on this is we're all in this together. We are a collective consciousness in this game. Yes, the game's for whatever percentage of us. And in this percentage, it's different levels, right? But we are playing this game. We have all the background actors and loved ones that are supporting us that aren't playing the game. Don't worry about them. Don't change them. Don't tell them they have to know what you know. Allow them to be whatever the level they're at and love them anyways. And you keep playing the game because we are changing the collective consciousness from fear-based to love-based. And that's what we're doing. And as this consciousness, subconsciousness of the universe really changes, it changes the whole world. Because see, we're like computers and we plug into PCs, right? I mean, into the mainframe computers. And so we're running all these different programs of disease, of fear, of lack, of limitation, of sorrow and sadness, and on and on. And oh, the world's going to end. This is going to happen. That's going to happen. All those programs are there because we are in a game. It's a very, very sophisticated game. It's an amazing, incredible game. And no matter what level you go, guess what? You still get to play the game. So there's no graduation. You're playing as long as you're here.
Right.
So like Charlie told me in 2000 whatever 11 when I was standing on that cloud, it's just a game, Tamara. all it is. So we're playing this game. You can't go from level 1 to level 13 or above instantly. You wouldn't
Right.
know what to do. You would be lost. So you got to go level to level to level to level. And it doesn't matter where people are on the level. Quit worrying about them. You play the game. You
Well,
play your game. You play your game. You create. You're on Fantasy Island. What do you want? What do you want to create? Peace, love, joy, happiness, abundance, for all. And
yeah.
or beautiful flowers or butterflies or trees or a nice swim or a nice cup of coffee or a hike with your friend. Focus on that.
Yeah.
And if you could focus on that and creating and doing interviews, doing retreats, focus on what you love. And then your energy starts shifting and you start shifting everyone around you. And before we know it, that energy of fear is shrinking because it's not being fed anymore. So it's easier for everybody to just start unplugging from it. And then here's this energy of love, which is huge now. And you just start plugging into that and it shifts. So those people that are supposed to stay in the 3D world, guess what? We just changed their programming in the collective consciousness. We've changed the whole collective consciousness to peace, love, joy, and happiness. So what happens with all those 3D people that have no idea what's going on? That's their new programming. They didn't even know they got upgraded.
Right.
And they just continue living their life, and they're all excited about all the fun things that start happening in their lives. They don't know where it came from. They don't know why it's amazing.
And this is
They
all
don't need to.
yeah, and this is all important, very crucial information what you're sharing right now is as far as maintaining a level a level of excitement moving forward about the coming times because it can be very disheartening sometimes whenever like because it is a game and there's a lot thrown at us and sometimes those challenges are there for a reason for you to overcome but it's hard to I'm speaking just personally right now sometimes things happen in it and it's heartbreaking and people aren't who you think they were whatever the case may be and it's hard to maintain that excitement moving forward and just like, okay, what's the point? So, but you sharing everything that you just did, like I've been getting chills this whole episode. Like this is a very powerful conversation for me. I maybe it's just because I need to hear all this stuff personally, but also I think the audience will appreciate everything as well because what you're speaking is very deep levels of truth. I feel, and I feel like that's why I'm even getting the chills because there's something to this information and you're breaking out of there's always once you think outside the box there's another box to think outside of and I think that's
Yeah.
where we're going right now.
It's almost like what's most important is awareness and what you orient yourself towards rather than because we get kind of fixated on like a destination as if like, oh, if this happens then I've arrived and now I'm enlightened or now I've found the truth and now there is no that. It's just about having the awareness that there's always something greater than what you think. And then that really that oneness and love is the ultimate truth. And if you can like orient yourself towards that, then and then always keep checking in to make sure you're going the right direction, rather than going more into fear, which is the opposite direction.
And it's easy to get sucked into the fear and spin out.
Mm-hmm.
You have to take time to work on yourself. You have to take time.
Yeah.
Every day, even if it's 5 minutes.
Right.
5 minutes out just for you. It's very, very important. I have a uncle that passed away a couple months ago, and he came to me last week. And I'm all, "Hi, Uncle Carl." I can see him, and he goes to me like this. And I said, "Well, why are you doing that to me?" He says, "'Cause you're not meditating enough. You need to meditate more." And I went, "You're right, thank you." Because we get caught up. It doesn't matter what level you're at, unless you make it a practice every single day at this time, you do this.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
we spin out, and it doesn't matter what level you're at, there's always something to catch you up and spin you out. And so it's important to realize when you're spinning out on something and let it go and then move forward. and then it's like, that feels better. And then you continue going, and you get lighter and lighter and lighter as you go, and more joyful. But it's a process.
Right. I love
Yeah.
that. There's always something, yeah, like the spin outs, a great analogy, right? And I think the most important thing, I guess, you can set 5 minutes aside, right? But do it with intention. Like, yeah, the intention can just be to calm your mind, but also, like, if you set it beyond that and like actually self care or whatever that is, I feel like that's what's important.
Yeah, it's 5 minutes minimum, you know what I mean? If you could do an hour, that's fantastic.
Right? Yeah,
Mhm.
5 minutes is like almost too little, but yeah,
And then there's the beyond that even is like make your whole life a meditation. Make every mundane little thing you're doing, make it like you're just meditating while you're doing it in your foot. Like a Thich Nhat Hanh, I think it's how you pronounce his name. I read a book once by him where he's talking about that, and he's like, when you're doing the dishes, like just like make your consciousness so singly focused on that, and make it like a meditation.
yeah.
When you're
Yeah.
driving, when you're brushing your teeth, when you're cleaning the house, whatever, like
Mm.
make that a meditation. So it ends up becoming you're always in this basically state of meditation,
Absolutely.
like the goal, right?
Yeah.
That is, like an ancient Japanese practice, like the way the
Mhm.
samurai and stuff, just from looking and researching them, they did everything with intention, and it didn't matter
Yeah,
what it was, if it was folding
everything.
clothes, making tea, cooking, everything was done with intention and meticulously and, with honor and respect, and it was a way of life that's programmed into that culture, right?
It's
And
huge in that culture.
yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, we didn't see one dirty car. I don't care how old the
Mhm.
car was, it was buffed, it was polished, there was not one piece of trash on the ground.
That's
I
beautiful.
That's
It
amazing.
was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and that's what fascinates me about that. So you've been there and you've seen that. I have never seen that,
Yeah,
but so I mean that tells you like,
twice now, yeah.
and so that means on an energetic level they have to be clearer as well, just because what
Right.
as within
No,
psychology,
it's their programs.
but there's still programs. Yeah,
Yeah, it's their programs, not all of them are clear, some of them, of course, there's absolutely beautiful, amazing people there. I have over 500 or 600 practitioners there now. So, I'm getting to go over there and teach, I do a lot of it on Zoom, and I'm absolutely loving it. I absolutely love the Japanese people, and Japan's beautiful. Absolutely amazing. It's just everybody to go. Um,
I'm actually gonna be going there in September. Me and my
are
my
you?
wife are going, yeah, with our good friends. I'm really
Nice.
I,
excited. Yeah, I can't wait.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that. That's
You didn't? Did I
amazing.
tell you that? I haven't told you that yet?
No.
Oh, yeah. It's Nikki and Joaquin, it's kinda like Nikki she knows this lady that's over there, and she has connection,
Oh
and,
wow, that sounds incredible.
um,
Yeah,
that's how Nikki was like, "We should go to Japan." That's how we got on that, so
awesome,
Very
awesome.
cool. Well, if
yeah,
you're in
I'm ex
Japan, I mean, if you can go to Mount Fuji, holy cow.
okay,
And if you can, if you're by Kyoto, go to the 1200 Laughing Buddhas.
okay.
It's like a garden with all these Buddhas in it. They're
Oh, nice.
they're cement Buddhas, and they're all different faces, and the energy is just absolutely incredible. I suggest anybody go there. Absolutely.
Alright, I'll put it on the list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was so beautiful.
Can you explain the concept of the matrix falling apart? Because I know we kinda covered that, but I feel like that's, like, what we're seeing, what we're witnessing right now.
That's what we're doing now. Yeah.
Yeah.
The matrix is falling apart. All these programs that we believe so many years are all collapsing. And we're seeing that they're not real. They're just made up stories to keep us busy.
Mm.
And it's all collapsing. And the more we just work on ourselves, we are feeding, no matter what you're doing. If you're sitting here in fear, or you're sitting here in love, you're feeding the matrix. So what's happened with this love growing, with this expansion and this awareness with what's going on with everybody, the fear programs are just falling apart. And more people aren't believing them. And they're just like, yeah, right. They're seeing through them. So therefore they no longer have power over the people, and they're falling more and more. Of course, they're going to still try. I think this next year and a half is going to be a little bumpy, but it's the matrix falling apart. And as that happens, we just become more in peace and love and joy and happiness and having a good time and doing what we want to do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and and then that's where it goes to, creating the life that you like, believing,
Create the life you
yeah,
want.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Think about you live or you're going to Fantasy Island. You gotta have whatever you want. Think about that. Create that. Spend your time on that. Think about your future, what you want to create. I live on the beach in Yucatan, Mexico. My house is paid off. I have a swimming pool in my front yard. I just installed 20 something solar panels so I can swim all year round. So my water never gets cold. I live with really my twin flame. We had met 20 something years ago, got back together. We lived in California, dated then, got back together in Florida, and moved over to Mexico here. I mean, come on. That's just, you're creating what you're thinking about.
Right,
Look what I did. I'm so excited about what I did. And if I did it, you can do it.
right,
There's no
Exactly.
difference between me and you. I'm not better. I'm not special. I listen, hey, do this, do that. Okay, okay, okay. And that's what I do. When I get instructions on what to do, I do it. And and I just want to help everybody do the same thing.
mhm,
That's what I'm all about. I want you to be in happiness and joy. If you want to go down the rabbit hole, got some great trainings for that. But you got to do the basic clearing trainings first. You got to clear out all that stuff so you can activate the other. But anyways, that's what I'm all about. Plus, I have tons of free stuff on YouTube
mhm,
and on my website. Tons of free stuff. Go
right.
listen.
So
Activations. Really energy clearing stuff. Totally free.
That's amazing.
yeah, that's incredible, and I agree with you as far as, creating that abundant lifestyle. I think that's, it all comes down to belief, and, you literally create what you believe in. So, it's about reprogramming that and everything we've talked about. So, it's entirely possible, and people lead by example, right? So, it's amazing to see that, and it is like literally creating an energetic like pathway for other people to follow. And
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
that brings me to something interesting that I'd like to discuss is this split that we hear, right now. So, like, if we're all creating like this abundant life, right? But then these other people that you were talking about aren't. Do you agree that there is going to be some sort of a split occurring as we move forward, or what does that look like?
Well, there is a split, and there's a split now, and what we integrate with and what we interact with. Are we going to be interacting with a lot of these people? No, but they're going to be here, and they're going to start changing themselves. We don't split off into. I think that's the same story that Jesus is going to come and save us. The good ones. The good ones are going to go into 5D. Don't worry about your loved ones. They won't even know you're missing,
Hmm,
right? This is what comes out. And it's like, come on, that doesn't make sense. We're all in this together. Are you going to hang out with the same people you hung out with a couple years ago or 10 years ago? A lot of them no. I'm going through friends. I'm cycling through friends. Um, and and it's a process, It's like you really need to do this for yourself instead of hanging on to stuff like that or instead of grieving a relationship that no longer functions. So it's important to let that go with love, and allow them to go spin out and do what they're doing and just continue on your path. And more friendships that align with you show up,
Yep.
and things change. You're playing a different game, you're playing a different level of game, so different people are going to show up. But your loved ones aren't going anywhere. You are not the good one that gets to go to 5D. We're in 5D energy. That's why everything's being created so fast. And the war is it being amped up? Heck, yeah, it's being amped up. There's all kinds of stuff being thrown at us.
mhm,
All
right,
kinds of programming. Just like if you're in Pac-Man, just get rid of those little programs and keep going and keep seeing the coconut trees or the birds or the flowers or the bees or whatever brings you excitement. Keep focusing on that. Keep focusing on your events. You know, you have events coming up. Get excited about that. Breathe life into that.
Yeah.
Don't worry about all that other stuff that's going on because it's just there to.
So,
Right.
what are your thoughts on AI and what role does that play in this? Because everyone's talking to their Chat GPTs now and all these apps, and there's like these quantum AIs that are bringing in like this crazy next level information. I'm sure you've seen it, but at the same time, a lot of people that like are trusting it, and a lot of people are don't they don't trust
There's
it.
a lot
What
of
do you?
fear surrounding it, but there's a lot of people enamored with it at the same
Right,
time.
Yeah. I understand. I just put something in the other day and got this type up, and a lot of it was really good. But I think AI is just like somebody channeling something that somebody wants you to know or to believe. And is it true? You got to be the judge of that.
right,
You know, I wouldn't don't put your power out there into something else. It's a tool. It's an amazing tool.
Hmm.
You know, I've asked my writer to use it to write up our practitioner trainings and stuff. You know, it's like, man, just put everything through there.
right.
You know, so you got to see for it for what it is and not give your power away. And all these people, oh, it's going to go bad. It's going to destroy the world. Oh well, guess we lost the video game, and I was wrong.
Right,
You
Well,
know what I
that's
mean? I mean, quit worrying about it. My belief,
right.
we go into world peace, and
Hmm.
it's coming, and all that crap's being thrown at you to keep you out of your power, so
Hmm.
you're not spending your time creating what it is you desire.
yes,
Exactly.
that's a
That's kind of the whole. That's the whole game. That's the whole trick. Is that everything, like you said, it's like a distraction, but it's trying to get. You're either living your own life authentically, or you're living what someone else wants you to live. You're putting your energy into what something or someone else wants you to put your energy into. You're either doing that or you're doing it consciously what you actually want to do. It's really that simple. And
It
that's
is
what the
that
whole
simple.
matrix and that's what the whole matrix is based on, is like convincing you that you don't have a choice, and that all these things are being thrown at you to siphon your energy, and they hope you don't ever come into the awareness of the game that's being played and who you really are. And as soon as you do that, it's game over. And then when you truly anchor in that, you don't have these, like, I mean, we all have to like, we're here human, like we have these natural, but like if you can get to a point where you're fully anchored in your sovereignty, where you're like, hey, no matter what happens, it's okay externally. I'm gonna focus on going within, and then, because I know the external is just always a mirror of what's going on within, and that's how reality works. Like that, it has to work that way, because that's the external is just energetic manifestations, but there's a deeper level going on, and you're always connected to that. So if you can connect to that and create from your imagination and connect to your heart, the external is going to end up mirroring that, because it has to.
right.
Right.
Yes,
That's how it works.
exactly,
So
exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
so whenever you and that was beautifully said, Aaron.
Thank you. That's
Uh,
what they don't want
Yes,
you
thank you.
figuring out, because then they
right,
can't manipulate you and siphon off of you anymore.
right,
Yeah, well, and it's like, but ever how high you go, there's another program that you gotta realize it's just a program and you're spinning out in it, and you let
right,
it go and it's gone, you
right,
know? Okay,
Right.
move forward, and it just keeps getting easier. The more you do it, the easier it gets.
right.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. So I want to ask you a question about okay, like so I have had chronic back pain my whole life, right? And it's at this crescendo in my life where it's becoming an issue, and there's some energetic component there, and there's layers upon layers that realizing about it. But at some point, like it gets very frustrating because I feel like I'm moving on to bigger and better things, but it's like my body is like fighting me right now, and I understand like okay, it's trying to tell me something, and these activations that you do, like how does it help people understand like they'll have those realizations on what the energetic root cause of this lifelong pain that you've had, like
Yeah.
what does that look like?
Well, sacred activations is really cool that way. You don't have to know the bottom belief of what created it. And you just listen to the activations and it starts changing the subconscious programming that has created it.
Right.
And, there's different levels to it. I mean, you're keeping yourself safe, and it is some of the programs you're carrying in your energy field. Can I do a session on you?
I mean, yes, now
Yeah.
I mean, I won't say no to that. I mean,
All right, I'll tell you what, you guys. I'm just gonna run a couple activations, and I'm gonna go back in your timeline and just clear some stuff out if that's okay.
Yeah.
See, we
Yeah.
have this is a whole new story. We have these programs. Are they our past lives? No. They're just programs to give us our operating system.
right,
So these programs and these things to go to, we can actually pull the whole program out and replace it with what's the alternative life, what's the alternative program, or even just happy, happy, joy, joy.
right,
So, just because we did something all of our lives doesn't mean we have to continue doing it.
right,
And
Exactly.
all physical problems is programs. That's all it is. And
right.
we will get to a point on this planet where this stuff doesn't exist. And I'm looking forward to that.
Me too.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me too.
Very much.
So, yeah, if you don't mind, I'll just run some activations for the group and then I'll go into your timeline. Is that okay?
Yeah, as long
Yeah.
yeah, of course.
Okay. So, and I'm not going to say much after I'm done. Okay. So I'll keep things private for you.
Yeah, that's what I was
Um,
gonna say. As long as, because this is going out to lots of people, so
yeah, no problem. No problem. Um, so I'm gonna run a couple activations, and one is the Lord Metatron. It's 18 strands of DNA. This will do a lot of healing in your energy field. Um, and then I'm gonna do the fruit of life, which is the chakra balancing. Okay. And while I'm doing this, I'm silent. You can't do this wrong. You can't mess this up. So don't worry about what you're thinking about or where your mind goes.
okay,
The only thing I ask is you sit quietly. It's easier if you close your eyes.
okay,
And I'm only going to do this for a few minutes. And what's going to happen with what I do, it's going to continue working with you for days, weeks. It's going to continue.
thank you.
So just go inside and close your eyes. you imagine bringing your energy into Mother Earth? Just open your eyes when you're ready.
All right, tell us what happened.
Just letting the energy settle in. How you guys doing?
Good.
Good.
It was
Thank
a
you.
nice
That was amazing.
it was a nice break.
So, well, I did go into your timeline and I cleared some stuff. I don't know what it was. It's your journey on the show. I don't need to know. So I just did some clearing for you and put some happy, happy, joy, joy energy in. I also ran the soulmate activation. Doesn't matter if you're in a relationship or not, it'll help your relationship grow. So whatever that was, but that came in at the end, so I ran it.
Awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Eh,
you. Yeah.
Yeah. I run that on my marriage with my husband. You know,
Nice.
Did
and
you
our relationship just keeps getting better and better. It's nice.
it's interesting
Beautiful.
because was there like a chakra alignment happening too? Well,
Yes.
yeah, because I I kept hearing pop your back, because my back it was out, so I just twisted and there was like a thud and it went back, but my physical body needed to align so it could like do its job. I just
Mhm.
kept, so I like, I don't know if you saw me in the middle, like just do that, but um,
Good. Perfect.
yeah, it was
Good.
just a very clear message, just like to
Mm.
help, I guess, the energy alignment. So
That's why I was doing the chakras. Okay. Yeah. I knew that was for you, but it's not something I normally would do on a show. But we did adjust your 13 chakras. It's called the fruit of life. In sacred geometry is what it is. Um, I think it also kind of lines up with the tree of life because the true symbol of the tree of life is actually 13 points, not 10.
Right.
yeah,
And a lot of stuff they were showing are 10. And it's like, no, it's 13. I drew it years ago with this picture of my paintings and stuff are channeled, and it was this picture of Moses, and I had the tree of life with him. And then I look later, I went, I added 3 more than what they're supposed to be. And it's like, well, yeah, because there's 13. I went, oh, okay. So it's expanded, I guess, from what it was. I don't know. I don't understand this stuff. I just know I shows up.
right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you for doing that. I really appreciate that, and I'm sure the audience will enjoy it too. Nice quiet break on the podcast. That doesn't often happen, but
Right.
um, yeah, thank you so much.
you.
And I guess we'll go ahead and start wrapping it up from there. Is there any thing that final words you'd like to leave us with?
Love yourself.
Yeah,
And that's the hardest thing in the world to do.
right.
Not in an ego standpoint, but in a I love you standpoint. And it's speaking of egos, your ego is your amigo. Don't try to get rid of your ego. There's people out there, kill the ego.
Right.
Call it out. It's like, no, you can't do that. You
Destroy it.
won't brush your hair or brush your teeth or go to the gym or eat right. You'll just be a blob not doing anything. You need
Right.
your ego.
Right.
Well, that's why you see a lot of people in the spirits community. They're like completely dissociated and ungrounded because they think that's the highest form of spirituality. It's that.
Yeah, and then they're all focusing on the stars and the aliens. Yeah, it's all there, but your game's right here.
Right.
Don't focus on that. Focus on this.
Right.
You know, that because really that's what it's all about. Again, that's another program that's available for you to spin out in. The
Right.
most important thing you can do in your life is focus on your life and enjoying yourself. What brings you
Right.
peace, love, joy, and happiness? Create your fantasy island.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely. That's a beautiful message. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Powerful stuff
Yeah.
today.
Thank
I
you.
wasn't expecting all this, but it was a very timely for me personally, and I'm sure a lot of people. I mean, this is they're tough times. It's an amazing time to be alive, and beautiful things are happening, but it shakes things up inside, right? And I'm in a very transformative period in my life, so I appreciate everything that you're doing, and this was beautiful. Can you please let our audience know where they can follow you and all your books and everything that you offer?
TamraOviatt.com. Tamra Oviatt on YouTube, Facebook, Tamra Oviatt, all my other sites. I don't know. I don't go on them. I have somebody that runs those. So you can find me out there. I have 13 books on Amazon. 2 of them are in Japanese. So I've got tons of free stuff, activations and webinars, doing sacred activations on YouTube. I have hours and hours of content free on my website. And then we have VIP, we have webinars I do live, we have practitioner training. So I'm here for you, whatever you need, whatever level you're at. If you're at free stuff on YouTube, it's there.
Mhm.
Search back a little bit. I've been talking about my team about adding a bunch of new stuff. Again, it's stuff that we have for sale on our website. It's like, pull it off, put it on YouTube. Let's start. I want to start getting it out there.
Right.
But I was doing a Om show for about a year, and it's like all that's out there, and they're full of activations in healing. It's not just talking. So be you, love you, and enjoy your life. That's what this is all about. That's how you win the game.
Boom.
Yeah, simple.
Mic
Yeah.
drop with that. Yeah, simple, but it takes sometimes a difficult path to realize that, not for everybody, but
Most people.
most people. And the thing is everyone can hear that, right? But to apply it and fully integrate that, it's different,
Takes a lot of work. You have a lot of programs. You got to
Right.
clear it out.
Right.
Do
Right.
something. Do something to clear out your subconscious programming by writing it down and making an affirmation. I guess that could happen, but you've really got to shift your programming.
Right.
Because I used to go out there and create amazing things and then destroy them.
Yeah.
Because I had all these programs that wouldn't allow me to have all these amazing things that I created.
Right.
Right.
You know what I
Not
mean?
worthy of it. Right.
Yeah, like that poverty consciousness, you don't deserve it.
I
Yeah.
don't deserve this. Right.
Yeah.
Program.
Prosperity mindset. Plug into it.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. I've really enjoyed the questions and our conversations. There's so much more to say, and maybe we'll be able to do that again at some point and go a little deeper. But this
Yeah.
has been amazing, and thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say it's a
you.
must that we do this again because we're just scratching the surface here. So
Yeah,
now that we're felt into each other's energies and stuff, it'll go deeper next time, definitely. So
absolutely. No, I'm so thankful. Thank you so much. It's
yeah,
been
thank you.
amazing talking to you guys.
Yeah, thank
Absolutely.
you.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. We love you. We can't do this without you. And until next time, have a great evening. Good night. It's just literally the way of the heart, and that's the way of the future. So
they are the ones that guard this planet. They open portals, they close portals, and they kind of protect us as a whole.
We wake up and we're like, holy shit, I've been lied to.
And I'm going to explain how this works and why they want our souls so badly.
When I'm talking about what is possible, I mean as far as the secret space program.
It's like this is the future, and it is a part of this golden age we're moving into. There's no hiding. You can't hide this, So
your quantum body, bringing more back online, like as in reloading past lives, soul fragments coming back, dismantling implants.
It might be different star languages that might come through. And we're talking a lot about dimensional beings, and they're very highly telepathic. So it's like looking around. It doesn't see us. It can't see us. I can see it, but it can't see us. It can hear us, and it knows something's going around.
But humanity does have a bright future, and I'm going to prove it to you beyond a shadow of a doubt.
The minute I came into their energy, I was like, this isn't a real human. Their eyes were different color. And so I do believe it was a clone.
This thing is going for sometimes years at a time on these missions. Is this thing going to other planets? And I knew that they wouldn't be able to respond, but I wanted to see their reaction because that was going to tell me. And it was good because she froze up and she looked at the back of the room to her superior military guy. And then she looked back at me and she's like, we can't talk about that.
And I can hear my higher self come in, and it's definitely my higher self, go, don't say a word, don't say a word, do not let them know who you are. And I began to leave my body at that point.
And it is biblical. I'm not a biblical person. I've never read the Bible. My family wasn't really religious, so it's just really interesting as I've been starting to get these updates, even through the Alliance, I'm discovering it is very much biblical.
When I got over there, a blue light come down right over me, and boom, I was on the ship. And I was looking at 6 people, 3 men, 3 women, and every one of them I looked at didn't seem very interested at all that I was there.